Welcome back to Retiring Today. This episode is all about taxes. I'm here with Chawn Honkomp and Loren Merkle. They're both certified financial planners. They're both certified financial fiduciaries, and Chawn is a CPA. So Chawn, again, as a CPA, you spent about 5 years filing taxes. And a really important point that we want to make today is the difference between tax preparation and tax planning.
With tax planning being one of the 5 principles of the Merkle retirement method, this is something that we're talking with our families about a lot. And oftentimes families will come in and feel like, well, we've got the tax planning part taken care of because they have a CPA or they have a tax preparer. And we usually have to stop and say, big difference between the preparation and the planning. When we talk about tax preparation, typically that's a reactive process. The year is over. Now you've gathered those documents. You're taking them to that resource of yours and you hand them over for them to do their work. When we talk about tax planning, something very different. We want to be in a very proactive state. This is something that in the current year that we're always in, we're trying to look at your situation, understand what your tax picture looks like, do some assessments and make some decisions, try to implement some strategies that can be helpful and effective for that long-term tax plan that we're talking about.
And Loren, education being a big piece of what you and the team do when you sit down with people, what is the biggest sort of learning curve as you sort of transition from I've paid these taxes, I've in the working years, and now I've got to do tax planning? What's the big, what do people learn?
One of the big transitions is when do I pay taxes? Because, and think about the CPA relationship, think about the marching orders you give your CPA and the communication between you and your CPA. It's always about you supply the documents that you need for the year to your CPA, and then you say, Mr. and Mrs. CPA, how do I pay the least amount of tax this year possible, right? That's why you pay your CPA in many cases, and that's your expectation. That's the expectation from the CPA. But in some years, in some strategies, sometimes it makes more sense to pay more tax in this year to save you a whole bunch of tax down the road. And that's one of the big transitional things that people have to get used to is sometimes it's okay to pay more tax this year. It actually behooves you to pay more tax year because you're going to save a lot of taxes down the road, not only for yourself, but again, also for your beneficiaries. So it's a mindset. There's a lot of mindset changes that have to take place from the working years to the retirement years as far as your activities. What do you do every day? You no longer have this identity that you build up that is associated with your career. So that's a mindset shift, but also this tax planning is really hard for people to grasp. And that's why the written plan is so powerful, because you can see it. You can see, here's the tax bill that you could pay this year. Here's the tax bill that maybe you should pay this year. Here's the benefit of doing that. And once you see it, then it starts to click. And then you really start to get really excited about paying more taxes. And you can't
excitement.
Excited about paying more taxes. And in your working years, that would never come to your mind. But once you see it, it makes a lot more sense, and you do get a little bit excited about paying more.
These guys, they love taxes and talking about taxes. But somebody at home, Chawn, is probably going, no, wait a minute, when would I pay more taxes to pay less taxes? And I think what Loren's getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the Roth conversion. Let's just kind of briefly explain what that is so somebody at home at least could be thinking about that if it might be right for them.
Yeah, it does come back to having that plan. Without having the plan, you won't understand the benefit and the trade-off of possibly paying more taxes in the current year versus trying to, what do we always hear? Win the current year, right. Try to pay the least amount of taxes. So it comes back to that planning. Looking at your current tax situation, we have known for a while now we are in historically low tax rate environment. What the opportunity that is there for you is to utilize those low tax rates now while we have them. So doing Roth conversions, really what that means is you're voluntarily going to realize and show more taxable income in the current year. If you've done the planning, done the assessment, you can understand why that opportunity might be there for you, what it means to you, and understand the trade-off such that, yes, you may pay more taxes in the current year, but as most people think, taxes are likely to increase or certainly may not be lower than what they are today, that the planning can show you that over time you will pay a lower effective tax rate as you continue that journey to and through retirement.
Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.